My name is Michael Meade. I'm a commercial photographer. I've got approximately 5 years experience. I'm from Cork, Ireland, and I'm 33 years of age. So I'm from just outside Cork City, a couple of miles from Cork City, a place called White's Cross in the parish of Glanmire. I'm the youngest of 6 children, so growing up it was a very busy household, 5 boys and 1 girl, and we were very active. From an early age, we were always outdoors, climbing mountains, exploring the West Kerry landscape, which is still one of my favourite places to visit in the world. So I think those early days really fed into my passion and love for Irish landscape and exploring and getting out in nature. Photographs were always a big part of growing up. My mother, I remember she was telling me that when she was going to the hospital for any of us being born, the first thing that went into the baby bag was a camera, had to be charged up with a new roll of film. So she really kind of had a very good stock of photographs of us growing up, different milestones in our lives. There was always bags of photos, and there was anytime we go somewhere, the camera was always there, and I was always inclined to go for the camera. We were free to just take pictures as we wanted, there was no limit on the amount of shots we could take. There was plenty of rolls of film. So how I got my first DSLR and how I got into more professional work in photography was through a good friend of mine, Eddie Hennessy. He was really generous with his time and knowledge in my early years, teaching me about my camera. And Eddie's story is amazing. At the age of 33, he had a massive stroke, and he was told by doctors he wouldn't be able to put 3 words together. And now he's one of the most sought after wedding photographers in Cork. I think if you're wanting to get into photography more, even as a professional, I really advise photographing or videoing content that you're really interested in. I'm really interested in landscapes, musicians, dancers, athletes, so that's what I concentrate on. Photograph something you're really interested in and your work will really stand out. My favourite style would be combining maybe landscapes with athletes or people. So like if I'm going out on a hike, I love if people come along with me and maybe including them in the landscape as well. And having someone in the picture really gives a sense of scale. I just love being out in the wilderness of Ireland. You could be sitting down, looking out at the sea with your camera next to you on the tripod. You could be waiting for the sun to hit that special spot, or hoping that the sky might go that nice shade of pink for a sunset. And you could be just listening to the waves crashing. You could be sitting there for 2 or 3 hours just looking out to the sea and not even realising the time has gone past. I'm putting a lot more effort into preparation, I think, than before, just taking a picture and hoping that I'll get something good from playing around with sliders. Nowadays, there's a lot more editing techniques. Instead of one picture, I'm doing a lot more of multiple exposures and using different techniques to blend those pictures. 2 years ago, I spent about 9 months on a big long trip. So I got to see a lot of Central America and South America, and it's never ending. There's so many places you can go to. You can even go to the same place twice and it'll be totally different. The weather could be different, it could be different mood. It could be really dark, moody skies one day, the next day it could be just a glorious sunshine. I think maybe my favourite moment would have to have been a time myself and my girlfriend, when we were travelling through Guatemala, and we did this amazing hike up a volcano, and we hiked up, camped on a volcano at 3,600 metres to look across at another volcano which was only about 2 kilometres away, and we spent the whole evening and whole night watching this volcano erupting. It was amazing. So I think that moment, that time was really amazing. It was such a special thing to see this natural wonder happening right in front of our eyes. It was picked up by Lonely Planet magazine, so I actually got a front cover on the Lonely Planet magazine with that image, so that was really special. It was really great to get that recognition. Another particular special set of images I would have got was when we flew to Northern Canada and we got to see the Northern Lights. It was spectacular, and it's like everything people describe. It's just amazing. Once you see it once, it's like an addiction. You really want to see it again and again, It's like this swirling green smoke dancing. So another kind of highlight from my video work was getting to work with an amazing dancer. His name is David Gainey from Dingle, and he's like a 6-time world champion. So I've got to photograph him and shoot video for him, and it's just amazing watching him move. He's a top class athlete and dancer, and I didn't think my camera was going to be able to keep up with his feet. They were moving so fast. So I use Nikon cameras, and my favorite lenses I think are, I'm using Sigma lenses. They have a lovely art range of lenses. So 35mm 1.4, the 85mm 1.4. I really love using them, especially for portraiture and at weddings. They're just amazing lenses. They have really background bokehs, lovely, and everyone looks good at 1.4 aperture. I've recently been getting into Sony gear, especially for video work. I think they're really great for video. They're very light, very portable. I bought the Sony A6500, and I'm using this mainly for video work. Sony camera is really helping me improve my video quality, be it getting better focus or just better raw files that I can work with later in post-production. From using different cameras, each one now has its job. So the D800 has large file sizes, so these are great for landscape. If you want to push that image a little bit more, I use the D750 for portraits and wedding work. It's really good, fast autofocus. I think if I was on a desert island, the one camera at the moment that I'd love to have is the Nikon D850 and the Nikon 35mm 1.4, the ART Lens. It's a beautiful combination, I think. In my free time, I love to play music. So I play a lot of music on the banjo or guitar, so I could be going in playing in sessions with friends or going to some festivals. And I also love to go surfing when the conditions are right. I'd love to be a surf photographer, but when the conditions are really good, you just want to be out surfing and you don't want to be taking pictures because you just be jealous of everyone else enjoying those waves. So for my landscape photography, I sell it on my website, so it's up on there for people to purchase prints. I put a watermark on there for 2 reasons. One could be to show that it's my image. If it goes passed around on Facebook or Instagram, people can find me, or they can find more of my work through my website. When people see my work, I'd love them to be inspired to go and see these wonderful places. My motivation is mainly for myself. I shoot for myself first. If I can make some money doing it at the same time, that's even better. My approach with clients, it's very conversational based. I let them approach me with an idea, then I can go and think about what lighting would look best, what location, what time of the day, and what equipment to use. I think if you're able to photograph a wedding well, you're really covering all aspects of photography. You've got landscape, portrait, product. It has become like muscle memory to change those dials, because one minute you could be taking a picture of a ring, next thing behind you, something could be happening on the dance floor and you have to be able to capture that because you only get one shot at it. If I wasn't a photographer, I think I'd probably look at maybe doing something I tried doing previously. So over the years, I was originally a mechanical engineer. I did a guitar making course. I became a snowboard instructor, but I think out of all of those, I really enjoyed snowboarding instructing because you're teaching people new skills for life. Working with those skiers and snowboarders was one of the first times I would have really photographed top class athletes to get images of them doing their best technique, best turn at high speed. For people starting out, I think you really need to know your camera. You don't have to have the very best camera. You're better off to start at the basics, get the really basic camera, learn it inside out. If you're thinking of doing maybe landscape photography, put more time into the location, spend more time there, explore. Don't just take the first shot you're thinking of. Take that shot, then see how can you make it better, how can you get more depth in your shot. Look at foreground, middle ground, background. Try and build your shot. Spend more time at the area. Give yourself plenty of time at a location. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, get your picture wrong. If your picture comes out wrong, look back and ask yourself what went wrong there, what can I change, what can I physically change on the camera. If I was to describe a time maybe where I had to try and get that shot, that elusive shot, I remember I went hiking with my brother He came in to me one morning at 6 in the morning. Do you want to go up Carrontool? There's going to be some snow up there. And I looked out the window and I saw there was no wind. So immediately I thought, great, I'll be able to fly the drone at the top of Carrontool maybe. So I remember we went down and it was 4 hours hiking up through snow and ice. I had about 10 kgs of weight on my back, but it was all worth it in the end to get just beautiful scenes from the top of Carrontool, the highest mountain in Ireland. I remember at the time I was hoping that it was going to inspire people to climb the mountain for themselves, but instead people are getting back to me, oh, I don't have to go up it now, I know what it looks like.